So once again, I welcome you all. As you know, these sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world through education. It is also building quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids, finding best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It is also creating more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. As you all know that so far we have conducted 146 sessions. We have received 17,996 questions, registrations from different part of the country. We have received 17,261 questions on national education policy. We have seen participation from 7 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal, Kuwait, and Russia. From India, we have seen participation from 22 states and 122 cities. We aim to organize minimum 200 sessions. With this, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective on national education policy. So with this, I would request you all, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for this very special session. Our first key speaker, Air Vice Marshal Dr. Pramod Kumar Srivastava ji. Pramod sir has been the former commandant with Air Force Technical College. He graduated as a mechanical engineer. He did his MTech from IIT Kharagpur, MPhil and PhD in Lean Sigma Management. He retired from Air Force after 35 years of glorious service in 2018. Before retirement, he was in charge of all engineering activities of Central India. He has also participated in various operations like Sri Lanka and Kargil. He was awarded a Vishisht Seva Medal by then President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam ji, 2006. He's a keen sports person and a classical music lover. We welcome you, Pramod sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks.
Our next key speaker, welcome sir. Our next key speaker, a very senior education leader, Rajkumar Verma sir. Rajkumar sir is principal with Delhi Public School, Nagbani, Jammu and Kashmir. He did his BSc from Jammu University and then MSc Geography and BEd and MA in English from Jammu University again. He has total 23 years of work experience in various Delhi public schools in Jammu and Kashmir. He started his career in year 1996 as a teacher in SPM Sapling School, Jammu, under Rajput Charitable Trust, which was overtaken by Delhi Public School Society, New Delhi. And that was the first school in Jammu, Delhi Public School in Jammu. In August 2004, he was sent to Delhi Public School, Leh, Ladakh as a founder principal, and then DPS Katra, which is situated at Shri Mata Vaishno Devi University campus. As a reward of his commitment and dedication, Mr. Verma was made the founding principal of Delhi Public School, Nagbani, Jammu in April 2016. Under his leadership and guidance, Delhi Public School, Nagbani received the prestigious gold-rated Green School Award from Indian Green Building Council within first year of its establishment. Mr. Verma's consistent and sincere efforts have brought several laurels, and students of the Delhi Public School in Jammu and Kashmir excel at national level in CBSE examinations, besides winning so many medals in curricular and co-curricular activities. Welcome you, Rajkumar sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Excellent, Verma sir.
Our next key speaker, Dr. Gurmeet Kaur Gill, ma'am. As I said in the beginning, she won't be able to join us due to some illness. She would be joining us in later sessions. Our next key speaker, Sunita ma'am. Sunita ma'am is former principal with SN Vidya Bhavan, Senthra Pini, Thrissur, Kerala. She did her post-graduation in English and applied psychology. She has 26 years of experience with CBSE schools in leadership capacity. She is also the CBSE resource person. She has been the central superintendent for CBSE exam. She received various prestigious awards like Dr. Kalam Academic Leadership Award for her contribution to the field of education. We welcome you, Sunita ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Welcome, ma'am. Our next key speaker, another very senior education leader, Dr. Puneet Chandel ji. Puneet ji is principal with SPS International School, Sirsa, Haryana. He did his PhD in physics and electronics, Masters of Philosophy in Physics, MSc Physics, BSc. He started, working as a lecturer in physics at Bloom College, Sundarnagar, Himachal Pradesh, and then worked as a PhD Physics in KC Public School, Nawa Shahar. He worked as head of physics department and the principal of the Doiba Collegiate School in the integrated campus of Doiba Group of Colleges, NSR, from August 2008 to January 2013. He has published 2 books, on physics. One, Applied Physics 1, Applied Physics 2, for first and second semester of polytechnic colleges, students of polytechnic colleges. He's an active member of IAPT, which is the Indian Association of Physics Teacher. He participated in regional summit on quality in education, attaining school excellence through a teacher empowerment on November 12th, 2014 by Confederation of Indian Industries at Chandigarh. He is also the president of Sankalp Sahodhya School Complex, Allahabad. He led a team of 14 students to NASA Space Center, where he dined and interacted with an astronaut in October 2019. He also visited the campus of MIT University and Harvard University and attended a workshop on impact of social media on students. We welcome you, Puneet sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. So with this, we come to the next part of the session, which is the opening remark part. I would invite all our key speakers, if we can have your quick 1-minute opening remark. So first, I'll request Pramod sir, sir, if we can have your quick 1-minute opening remark.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm happy to see all the speakers here. They're very learned people and doing very well in their own areas. Now to start with, I have noted few slogans from which Mahatma Gandhi has said, and my entire thinking and entire topic will be based on that. Mahatma Gandhi said, education which does not mold character is absolutely worthless. Absolutely worthless. By education, means Mahatma Gandhi has meant, I mean an all-round drawing of the best in child and the men in body, mind, and spirit. Dr. Abdul Kalam, whom I have worked on few of the projects, and I got Vishesh Seva Medal by him. I was honored. He said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Now that means the first thing is the character. If we build up character through education, and the nation will be built up simultaneously. And being a young person, I feel that the people who are much younger than me, I feel this character is missing. And if I say character is missing, it directly reflects on our education system. I've been vice chancellor in one of the university, and I could interact with youngsters, and I find this thing is missing. And why this is missing? It is because of education system and our Shilpkar. Shilpkar is our faculty members, the teaching staff. They are the Shilpkar. If they are good, the product will be good. Exactly. So we'll build up these topics slowly, and I finish here and request others to support.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pramod sir. Absolutely. We all agree with you. Somewhere, we have lost the essence of building those characters. So we would like to learn more from you during the process, how we can, regain that thing. And now I would invite Rajkumar sir. Sir, when I was going through your profile, I felt that you are kind of an expert in building schools from these scratch. I believe you have been the founder principal with 4 Delhi public schools, and you have taken to them
very little contribution towards education, specifically in remote and far-flung areas. That is a very little contribution of mine in this area.
So
Thank you
if
so
someone
much.
would ask me ever, we are building a new school, so whom to go for the advice, so I'll recommend your name. So
Always most welcome, sir. I'm always there. And
thank you.
really, it is really honor being, you can say, having interaction with the eminent personalities, like Srivatsa sir and ma'am Sandhya. And there are others, those who have joined. It's my privilege. And I must say that you can say, presenting or having a discussion for the first time, being a bit busy for the academics and other areas, and moreover in COVID time, it was really a very difficult time. It is, but now we are used to, and definitely we are working on it, that how we can come up. So, as Srivastava sir has said, I will connect education with it, that for some it is a privilege, for others it's a right. The difference between darkness and a future that is bright. Some will link, some will think a burden where others see a gift. The key to move forward and to give your life a lift. If school is not your calling, look beyond its doors. The world can be a teacher. Many adventures are in store. As long as you are learning, your education grows. That will lead to contributions, and you share the things you know. That is why we are sitting all together here to share something, to learn something, because every day we learn one or the other thing daily. So thank you very much for giving us a chance for this discussion. Definitely we will learn a lot. We will discuss more. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Rajkumar sir. We are very excited to hear your ideas on that. I'll be coming back to you. And now
Thank
I
you.
would request Sunita ma'am. Ma'am, if we can have your opening remark.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I was just listening to what Srivastava sir and DPS sir was speaking. In fact, I too would go with the same, because now the new education policy has been launched, but how far is it going to achieve success? That lies in our hands. As Srivastava sir was saying, it's very important for us to train our teachers to get this done. Otherwise, everything will again remain in black and white only. And added to this, I would just like to quote the few words of Ham Guynet, who said, children are like wet cement, children are like wet cement, and anything that falls on them makes an impression. So if our children should do something good, because they are ready to accept anything that we give. And the education policy today talks about very interesting classrooms, activity-based classrooms. So if that can be implemented in the best manner possible, I'm sure we shall get a generation which is future ready, in fact. So this is what I
Absolutely.
have to give as a starter. And
Absolutely.
the remaining, I once again thank you for giving me a platform like this, so that I could meet so many people and we can share our views also with each other. Thank you all very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Sunita ma'am. We are equally honored
Thank
with
you.
your presence. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll come back to you. And now I would invite Puneet sir. Puneet sir, I believe you are, though we all are young, all the participants are very young, but you belong to that, I would say, a next generation of education leader who has the different perspective on education altogether. So I'm sure you must be looking at this national education policy with a different perspective. So I would now invite you, if we can have your opening remark. Please, sir. Sir, you are on mute.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir. Puneet sir, I would request you. I believe Srivastava sir has a point to say. Then I'll invite you. Yes,
no
Srivastava sir.
problem.
You said all young, so I am also included in that.
Yes, sir. You
Okay, fine. Okay.
are the youngest. Sir, you are the youngest.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege. First of all, I would like to thank India International Education Council to provide this opportunity and to bring all the educationists on this platform. I completely agree with Srivastava sir. He rightly said that we are missing the character, and this culture of this character formations means the teachers are not trained in such a way so that they can come up with a refined and perfect character formation these days. I will start with the quote of a psychologist from Harvard University. To educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society, as he rightly said. That means what we are trying to create, or we are trying to create the students with more and more scores and marks, but we are not focusing and targeting the character formations, patriotism for the country. But what I felt during this NEP 2020, I found they have given a special cushion and space for this character formation and ethics, ethical and values. And I hope this document, if executed and adopted in right way, will help us to create right characters, people with more talent and love for country. Thank you once again. Thanks. I think this platform will help us, all of us, to share and know more about this policy. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Puneet sir, for that. And big thanks. I'll be coming back to you for your detailed perspective. And big thanks once again to all the key speakers for participating and your thoughts. And now we come to the next part of the session, which is the main talk part. I would be inviting our key speakers once again for their detailed perspective. But before I invite our first speaker, I just would like to share the learnings which we have had during our last 146 sessions. During our last 146 sessions, almost every participant shared that this is a wonderful document. This document has a potential, which Puneet sir said, has a potential to place India at that coveted position of Vishwa Gyan Guru.
Yes.
This,
Exactly.
in fact, people say it has everything. It has some element for character building. It has some element for I would say to eliminate the difference between privilege and right, which Rajkumar sir said. Among all the learners. So it has everything. But almost same number of participants shared that this is very, very ambitious document and it is going to be very, very difficult to execute. A lot of people who participated shared that finance is going to be a key concern area. Many believe that teachers training is a concern area. In fact, a lot of people said, yes, teachers training is a concern area, but the bigger concern area is lack of intent among teachers to get trained. Lot of people, lot of educators who participated, they share that good schools in urban areas already implementing many of these ideas. But the challenge would be for rural school, budget school, and government school. A lot of people who participated shared their assessment that this pandemic has exposed the poor distribution of digital infrastructure in our country. And that is going to be another key challenge. So I would request you all that while sharing your perspective, if you can also share some idea, some suggestion, or some best practice which you have been running in your respective institution, so that we all can learn from each other, then session become more useful for all of us. So with this, I would invite our all of you one by one. And I have another request: that time limit for one speaker is 8 to 10 minutes, so that we have sufficient time in the end for the questions. So please, support us in that part as well. Now, with this, I would invite our first speaker, Pramod Srivastava sir. Pramod sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I request you, whenever you feel that my time is over, you just tell me. Okay, so that I am in control of the coordinator or the moderator. Okay, see, after so many years of waiting, we have come to a new policy. Now I feel it is a concept paper. Every government makes good policies. The problem is execution. I have not seen, I've worked with many, 2-3 governments. I've worked with all honorable prime ministers and various ministries. Everybody has got a good concept. And that concept is converted into writing. But once it comes to execution and implementation, it becomes very, very difficult and deteriorated. Now, coming to this policy, I will support my thought process with one example. I was in Ambala and we were going for a very big operation with Russians. And unfortunately, one of our fuel tester failed at that last moment. When we checked it with Russia, they say we will charge hell of a lot of amount. It was in some lakhs of rupees, and the delivery period will be around 6 months. And we were to go for that operation in next 1 month time. Now, Ambala, I caught hold of one person because I could assess that this chap is technically sound. However, he has never seen any school in his life. I interacted with him along with my team. There were 2-3 young engineers with me. And we explained to him, this is the operation of this tester. Then he requested that, can we break open this tester? We refused. We say, you cannot deassemble it. It has to be in one, because it is Russian tester. We cannot dismantle it. This engineer was explaining him the operation of the tester, and that uneducated but highly skilled person was listening. And while he was listening, he was making a drawing inside his mind. And he was saying, okay, that means there is one spring. That means there is one groove. That means there is one diaphragm. It is moving like this. And then finally, after 2 hours of session, he says, sir, I will be able to make it. Only thing, it will slightly costly. I say, okay, how much it will cost? He says, sir, साहब कम से कम 200-250 रुपए तो पड़ ही जाएगा. I say, okay, how much time you need? He says, sir, you have to give me at least 2 days time. And third day, he brought the tester, though after a lot of iteration and change. Finally, within, I think, 30 days, in 250 rupees, we got that tester made. Now here, what a beautiful integration of skill and knowledge. And that's what is the new policy says. In new policy, you will see they are weaving 2 areas of education, skill and knowledge. I have seen many engineers, they are knowledgeable, but when it comes to implementation of that knowledge, it is not there. So the beauty of this policy is, from the beginning, they are giving you chance to develop your skill also while enhancing your knowledge. And then another beauty of this is, suppose by any reason, if you are leaving that course, you are not a loser. You will get something, some diploma, something, certificate, or maybe your credit point will be stored there. And then after 4 years, when you have some time, you want to continue with your education, you come back and your previous knowledge is taken into account. Your credit score is still there. So you start from that stage. It is not that the previous education policy, if you remember, if somebody is doing BSc for 3 years, suppose after first year, if he leave the BSc and he has to join back BSc after 2 years, 3 years or 5 years, then he has to start from the first step again. So his 1 year is gone. The best policy has come now, that your knowledge, whatever you have learned, is not gone into waste. There are two things. The beautiful integration of skill and knowledge, and from the beginning, from the school days itself, there is a vocational courses, there are a skill. If somebody is good in music, while doing engineering itself, he can go for music, he can get a degree. Otherwise, if you see, there are so many engineers that they are cricketers, they are musicians, but they were not formally trained while doing engineering. So they did it after engineering. So another 2-3 years they took. Whereas while doing engineering itself, you can pursue all these things. Now they are going to have 2 kind of universities. One is purely PhD oriented, research oriented, and one will be academic. Now all of you must have done some project in your college time. Like I can talk about engineering. There are so many engineering colleges in India. There are so many, I mean, difficult to count it. Each engineering degree has got a provision that in your final year, you have to do a project. Now, what happens to that project? Is there any industry which can support that project? Can we go for mass production of that project? It's all waste actually. So we have to link our output of our colleges to something, some industries. So what is the requirement of industry? That we should teach him from the day one. There is no point teaching something which is not required by industry. Finally, what for he is getting educated? In most of the cases, we send our children to school, college to get a good job. There are very few go for any research. There are very few go for entrepreneurship. But basically, if we as a common person, we feel that our boy, our girl should be educated and then join some company. So are they trained for that company's job? Unfortunately, we have slightly missed on this part in this education, though we are talking about skill. But that skill is required. What kind of skill is required? That while implementation part, I think all of us, we have to see that what is the requirement of industry? Those kind of skill we should give to all the students, those who are working with us. Now, coming to my favorite topic of character building. Now you must have seen all TV debates. Every day you open any TV channel, you will find so many people are saying this, that. So we all talk about privileges, right? We have never spoken about Article 51A. What we are supposed to do it? Are we doing it? Are we teaching our student that you should do this? Now this is the time this policy is telling you that from the day one, we should train our student that this is your duty towards your nation. Like I am from the defense background, we are taught only the duties. We never talk about our rights. Rights will come. Nation is so big. Our politicians are so good. Our administrators, they are all good. They will give you right. Nothing to worry about that. But are we really doing our duty towards our nation? Are we doing something for the better of the nation? Are we contributing something towards nation? I feel most of us, and especially the young lot student, they only talk that this should be given to them. But okay, those things will be given to them. But are they qualified? Are they doing their bit to get that? Now, especially all of you are from the school side. Now, what is the relation of student and teacher today? And what is the relation when we were a student? I give full credit to my teachers. यदि उन्होंने मुझे पूरी तरह से धुना नहीं होता, पीटा नहीं होता, तो आज मैं इस मकाम पर नहीं पहुंचता. That was a relation. That was a character of my teacher, which was inculcated in my blood also. So where is that relation? Why we are losing that relation? The teacher and student relation. Why are we not bothered about a student? And since we are not bothered about our student, it is reciprocal. A student is also not bothered about us. I have seen in my university when I was vice chancellor, I visited one of the classroom, and to my surprise, I thought he's somebody else who is on the stage. I requested him to come out and I asked him, I say, are you a professor? He said, yes, I am assistant professor. Then I took him to my room and I told him, I say, I am just like your father. Don't take it otherwise. Don't think that vice chancellor is telling you something. I say, if you dress up like this, if you communicate like this, the same thing your student will pick up. I said, this is college. This is a temple. You can't wear jeans and come to the classroom. So there comes the training of teachers. And I think we are not spending enough time on teaching our teachers. We are afraid of pointing out somebody that we will lose relation. No, it is not. I think if you point out somebody for a right thing, your relation will improve. Your image in his eyes will improve. And one bad teacher will spoil more than 100 students in his class. And all of us, we know, we have been a student. The best critic is student only. He knows which is your weak point, and within 2 minutes he can understand what is your weak point. So when we are going to implement this policy, I feel that we should spend a lot of time, lot of discussion we should have how to build up this good team for teaching. How do we support them? How do we give them? We can give them lot of digital this and that, smart classroom, this everything. But the first impression is the person, a personality who is entering the class. The teachers has to be looking good. He has to have a very good personality. I've seen one more example. I've seen the professor was talking about some power system, and he was explaining something, and unconsciously he had just drawn one line on the board, and he says, "Can you see this motor?" Now he is imagining, he's trying to teach motors, and he has drawn just simple one line. Now, how can a student who is just new, he has not seen motor in his life, he doesn't know how the motor function, and you have drawn just one single line, and you are expecting the student to assimilate that this is a motor. So this is a very, very big gap between a teaching, a good teaching, and a teaching. I will say, I will not say bad teaching. Teaching is never bad, but good teaching and teaching. So this policy is slightly silent on that issue, and I think we should have more emphasis on the quality of teaching. Now coming to another aspect, which is I compare any private institution with industries. Now industry, you are manufacturing something or you are doing service, so there is a quality control. The quality control is an independent person. He is not pointing out your mistake. He is checking quality. Now, initially, this quality system was our examination pattern. But unfortunately, जो बना रहा है वही खा रहा है. The same person is taking examination. Now, his motto is that my school should have 100% result. If you have this motto, 100% result, how can you work on your quality? Now, there is a normal distribution curve. You will have bad student, you will have good student, you will have an excellent student. Whereas now I think if you draw the normal distribution curve, I don't think for any school you can draw normal distribution curve. Everybody is above 90. Even in the language, I have seen the children are getting 100%. Whereas we used to starve just to get pass in the English and Hindi language paper. So the quality control is slightly missing. And in this policy, the quality control is entirely missing. We should have, for a higher education, instead of having a UGC and AICT and other things, they are going to have a regulatory commission. But is it possible that that single body can control so many universities, so many technical and higher educations? I feel it will not be possible for them. We have given permission to open so many private universities, but is there any quality check on that? I feel there is no quality check. Private institution, definitely they are all commercial institution. Definitely they have opened their institution to earn some money. Fine, there is no issue earning money, but there has to be some way, and there has to be some quality control.
Right.
Quality control has to be there. Now, a student, you are a private institution, they are just giving degree to him. That poor chap is just worth digging gaddas, whereas he has got a MBA degree. Now वो गड्ढा भी नहीं खोदेगा, MBA के लिए वो capable नहीं है, he will not get job. And वो झंडा हाथ में उठाएगा, सड़क पे आएगा, कहेगा बेरोजगारी है. We have to consider all these things.
Absolutely.
If somebody is deserving, he should get good qualification, he should get degree. But if he is not deserving, there has to be quality check. No means no.
Absolutely.
Is still time left?
I would request, please take 30 more seconds sir, to conclude.
Okay. Okay. So this policy, by and large, this policy is very good, but I feel in this policy we have to include this quality control measures for all the private universities, stringent quality control measures, and enough emphasis we should give on teachers training. That's all. I conclude.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Pramod sir. You almost touched upon all the important parts of NEP and how their impact is going to be. You began by emphasizing the need of character building, because a good character, if we are creating good people with wonderful characters, then only we can build a strong nation. You all then talked about and share your assessment that NEP is a concept paper, and execution is always challenging and demands that absolute dedication from all the people involved. You also talked about where NEP's attempt to integrate skill into formal education is highly laudable, and that should be seen as a very positive step. You also talked about the importance of flexible exit and entry part, or choice-based credit system in higher education, which is being proposed in the National Education Policy. And then you talked about importance of teaching duties, which is a very important part in the process of building characters. You explained that process in a wonderful way. And then you emphasize upon the importance of training for teachers, empowering teachers. So in the end, you talked about the importance of checking quality. You explained with example why we need it and how it should be. So big thanks, Pramod sir, for sharing these wonderful ideas and thoughts. I would be coming back to you with questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And now I would invite Rajkumar sir. Sir, if we can have your ideas in detail, Rajkumar sir. Sir, you are on mute. Sir, Rajkumar sir, you are on mute.
Yes, sir, of course, I'll share my views, but I would like to share the screen.
Please, sir.
Well, sir, I have noticed two things in this policy. One is the holistic vision and the objectives. So I would like to, you can say, have few words on that. So first is the holistic vision of this policy. The National Education Policy 2020 is a well-planned and decisive step towards recovering India's legacy of rich education system. And it has a holistic vision of transforming the way children and youth will be educated to make learning a part of personal development while serving the needs of the Indian society. And it has brought together the best of the country's ancient heritage and the best of modern learning. It gives emphasis on moral education and awareness of Indian culture. Definitely, the vision of this policy is to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian. A student coming out of such a system will have a higher degree of self-confidence and also be better equipped to meet the challenges of the future. This new policy also takes into account what needed to be built a prosperous and self-reliant nation. The higher education system must enable equity, expertise, and empowerment. NEP 2026 to achieve these objectives. Now, as far as its objectives are concerned, with more than 15 lakh schools in India, the main objectives of this policy are universal access to education and retention of all children in schools until the secondary level. Then incorporation of pre-primary schools within the formal ambit of the school education, a multilingual approach to teaching and the removal of rigid demarcation between subjects and the streams, move from rote learning to experimental learning, then from knowledge based to skill based, and the education has to be based on competency and skill development to change pedagogy and to make the children curious. The dynamics of has to be shifted, skill education, teaching pedagogy, teachers training, and to analyze learning outcomes through assessment. No doubt, the role of the principal, the teachers, and the school, they have to work on changing the pedagogy. In today's time, the most important is to how to update the students. This is a bit of its holistic vision and objectives of this policy. Now, if we see the comparison of the stages of NEP 2020, clearly we can see that now the foundational, preparatory, middle, and secondary sections are there. They are divided into 4. That is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Previously, no doubt, the foundation was missing. So now in this policy, it has been inculcated. I think so. If the foundation of our new generation will be strong, no doubt our future will be very, very bright. If we see the comparison of the stages in NEP, we can clearly see that what is the current, you can say, scenario of this policy and how we are going to see in the future. And then, of course, restructuring of the educational wheel. This we have gone through this policy, the draft which has come. We have just seen it, and in this, I have got that learning should be holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. So these are the different, you can say, stages in the policy, which we can see clearly. Next is what are the major changes in this policy? We can also see in the, you can say, through the document that they have given us the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 pedagogical structure and ECCE, which is very, very important, which was missing in the previous policies. So no doubt foundational years, preparatory stages, middle stages, and secondary stages. So they have basically given more strength to the, you can say, foundational years, which were missing. Since I am talking about the school education, because I am dealing with the school education system, that's why I have taken, you can say, the basic of this policy. Now, if we see, yes, very important thing, during this pandemic, we have learned and we have seen that the role of technology is very, very vital and we can't ignore that. You know, previously, we were not paying much attention towards the digital drive or towards technology, but within a year's time, we have seen a sea change in that technology. Even every teacher, every student, they are well versed now as far as technology is concerned. And definitely in the coming years, they will be fully trained. And yes, they have one more thing which I have noticed, that now they are going to have B.Ed for 4 years also. Presently, we are having for 2 years. In the coming time, it will be 4 years, and more, you can say, areas of technology will be inculcated. And as far as financial support is concerned, though the government of India is giving, but yes, now they are giving more of the responsibility to private institutions also, that they have to offer scholarship to the students. This is what I have noticed in this slide specifically. So if we see the timeline, it is clear cut. We are starting from 21 to 22, and by 2040, we can see the full-fledged implementation of this policy. So we can see that we talk about the GER in our previous system, in this system. So GER in higher education to be raised to 50% by 2035, as 3.5 crores seats to be added in the higher education. So I must say that there are lots and lots of changes are there, and no doubt it is an excellent document as far as the you can say future of our country is concerned. And there are few views on NEP. These people have shared their views, which I have added. I'll share my PPT. Just you can say presenting the crux of this policy, and definitely there are lots and lots of changes are there in assessment of the students in lower grades or higher grades. They are clearly mentioned. I think so. I have just tried to you can say share, but my main focus was on the holistic vision and the objectives of this policy. With this, I must say thank you very much. This is what I wanted to say about this NEP. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Rajkumar sir, for sharing these wonderful, points. You began by saying, by sharing the holistic vision of this national education policy and the objectives of national education policy. In your assessment, NEP is a very well-planned document, which is making a very strong attempt in
Yes.
discovering India's rich heritage.
Absolutely.
And you also talked about the importance of universal access to education, which this NEP is promising.
Yes.
You also shared your assessment that this NEP would lay a strong foundation for future learners that would create that kind of environment for holistic development. You also talked about that focus on early child care education. It's a very, very laudable, effort. And in fact, a lot of educators have shared this. And, I believe after being part of this number of sessions, that one big achievement this NEP has already done. It has already created a mass awareness about the importance of those early years. Now, people have formally recognized the importance of those years. Now, people are talking about it. So, we all agree with you, Rajkumar sir. You also talked about the importance of technology and why we need to embrace it.
Yes.
And then, you shared the reforms in teachers training, which NEP is promising, like 4-year B.Ed thing or 50 hours CPD for teachers and leaders. And it has a potential to produce good and quality teachers. And then you touched upon those gross enrollment ratio and what NEP is promising about, and assessment and how this entire elements will reform Indian education. So big thanks, Rajkumar sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. And I'll come back to you with questions. And now I would invite Sunita ma'am. Ma'am, if you can have your ideas. Meanwhile, I must recognize the presence of Sunita Rawat ma'am, Principal Arinwad Public School, Dehradun, has joined us. Welcome, Sunita ma'am. And now, Sunita ma'am, our speaker, I would request you.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Oh, thank you. So I would just like to start off with a very small life incident which happened here in Kerala. You might have read through the newspapers. You know what? Years back, boy, he was a marine engineer, very highly qualified, highly paid. The father was working abroad, and at home, only this boy and mother was there. So my father used to keep sending money for the monthly expenses to the mother's account. Things were all okay. But later on, I do not know what happened to the boy. He started clicking videos of his naked mother and posted it in most of the websites. Understand, it is a son doing it to his own mother. Where has education gone? Where has education gone? And what have we been doing all these years? I taught a lot of English. I taught a lot of chemistry, but I don't think that would have made up a child. So it's very important for us as academicians or parents or teachers to have a very proper introspection of what the new document demands of us. As Srivastava sir was saying, character, without character, what is the use? You are not, you are such a curse to the society. You are such a curse to the society. And many a number of times, what we people do is I go into my class, 40 minutes, I close my eyes, I take my textbook, I start teaching, case closed. 40 minutes. Tomorrow, I'll be conducting an examination. There again, how many marks did you get in this test? 50 out of 50, 25 out of 25. Teacher happy, parent happy. Where are we preparing our children for future readiness? This is something that I want all of us to ponder over, because these are something that we need to think about very seriously. And here again, I want this India International Education Council, as you are gathering teachers under the same platform, I have a request, please gather the managements under the common platform. You know why? When it comes to applying this, or when it comes to implementing the national education policy, as educators, there are, or we as educators will be facing certain problems because the managements are not completely aware of what the new education policy demands of us. So, we are totally handicapped because they have a vision. They are not thorough with what the real NEP wants. So there again, we are confused and nothing becomes complete. So here, what I would like to say, and every time, my topic today is the 21st century skills. We talk about skills, and I'm so sorry to say from my own life experience, I studied in a Kendriya Vidyalaya, and my biology teacher taught me balsam spreads through explosive mechanism. Yes, balsam spreads through explosive mechanism. Balsam spreads through explosive mechanism. I wrote it for my exam. I got good marks. And believe me, I didn't know what balsam was till I was quite old. Maybe 2 or 3 years back only, I came to know what balsam was. So those days were simply mugging up, and we never knew what actually is needed, what is not needed. So now the new education policy is making a proper segregation of what has to be given to the children, and when it has to be given to the children, and how it has to be given to the children. That how is a big how. So this is very important that you gather the management also, and the process of learning, unlearning, relearning, very, very, very important, because we as teachers, we have been imbibed, or by default, we have set so many thought processes in our mind, and we are not ready to change. So dear educators, the number of educators are just 14. All of us together, we have only 14 participants. That's a very small number. When it was such an interesting topic, I think we need to have a larger set of participants. So this is something where we as educators, if I am a principal, you are a principal, we need to introspect properly what is needed of this. How are we going to implement this? And there again, my dear educators, I would just like to remind you, when we are burning an oven, we put a log of wood inside, and once the wood goes off, what do? Yeah, that process of oof should keep happening regularly in the lives of academicians, including teachers. If that process of oof doesn't happen, I am sure that our national education policy might not come out in full swing. And this 21st century skills, we talk about learning skills, life skills, literary skills. And I'm so sorry to say, the battery of our inverter, when I had to change, I was so confused as to where to connect what. But I had been learning physics in college for 3 years, in school for all the 12 years, and so pathetic, I didn't know how and where to connect. If so, what was the simple use of me learning my book thoroughly and writing an examination? So the Modi ji government has beautifully said that the classrooms, the activities should be very interesting. So once the classrooms turn out to be interesting, I think these sort of things can very well be worked out. And Srivastava sir was talking about patriotism. So pathetic, so pathetic. You know, I'm talking from my experience. January 26th, chutti. August 15th, chutti. What is patriotism then? On a national, on an Independence Day, our children are not ready to go to the school. Holiday. January 26th, children are not ready to go to the school. Holiday. Where have we taught them patriotism? Where have we taught them patriotism? And in the morning, sometimes, you know, some schools sing the national anthem in the morning, some school only at the dispersal time. And there again, I feel so sorry. From my 26 years, I have not seen one complete school stand straight for the 52 seconds of the national anthem. Can any of you guarantee me that in your school, if you have 100 children, all the 100 children will know how to stand when the national anthem is going on? If so, where is patriotism? What have we been doing? What were we doing in schools? This is a big question. So the skills, when we talk about skills, the main facilitator is the teacher. And the teacher, she has to make up her mind. Unless, you know, you can take 100 horses to water, not make a single horse drink. So as academicians, you know, we can tell them, see, this is this, you have to do this, you shouldn't be doing this, this is how we take about this. But unless and until we get our teachers prepared to implement this, NEP shall remain an utter disappointment. Yeah. And this is what I had to tell you again. And one of the most important part of the 21st century skills is critical thinking. We people or our children, if they do not know how to act as per the situations, what is education again? You know, in all our schools, we have science teachers, we have a first aid box, correct? But in case a child has a sprain or a snake bite or an insect bite, we are all confused. How do you go about it? What is the first thing that you do for your child? So these are certain important areas which a teacher has to first analyze, and only then, that is with utmost sincerity, utmost commitment, utmost dedication, this is not going to, in fact, get realized. But definitely with a good set of academicians running the show and teachers who are ready to change their attitude, very important, including me. Unless and until we are ready to change our attitude, this is not going to be easy. This is not a sort of discouraging. This is not discouraging. This is the real fact that we are seeing. You know, now in full swing everywhere, we have webinars, seminars going on NEP, correct? But later when it comes to its implementation, we should not be disappointed. That is, what percentage of it could have been implemented, in fact. So when we talk about the critical thinking, the most important story that comes to my mind is, you know, the story of the crow. It was going on throwing stones to raise the level of water, to raise the level of water, raise the level of water. But our teachers have no time to bring in that sort of a critical thinking in our children. Why? Because textbook-based classrooms, textbook-based classrooms. No, hereafter activity-based classrooms. And that, you know, some teachers used to tell me, madam, you see, now I joined school when I was 25. As a very young, beautiful lady, I joined school. And now I'm almost 50, 55, going to retire. I was teaching the same thing to the children. But what our teachers need to understand is, you might have been teaching first standard throughout your life. But for a first standard child, he goes to first standard only once in his lifetime. So can your teachers afford to lose their energy in any of the classes they are teaching? Definitely no. So what I want to tell the educators is, go away from the textbooks. Let's get our children ready for the future, because life is to live. You know, you be a carpenter, be the best carpenter ever. You are a painter, be the best painter ever. So this is what I have to tell everybody. And that is all from my side.
Thank you, Sunita ma'am. You shared these valuable thoughts. You shared your assessment. This NEP has a potential to take us away from the rote learning based system to this conceptual, understanding based system. And then you talked about the importance of inculcating learning, unlearning, relearning skills among our learners. And then you talked about how should a teacher of 2021 behave. A lot of people who have participated, they have shared that today students don't come to teachers for the information. Students have far bigger sources of information than teachers. Today, when a student comes to teacher, he or she is coming for the perspective. So teachers need to behave like a facilitator, as you said, in your talk, not an instructor. You also talked about those 21st century skills, critical thinking, collaboration. So we all agree with you, ma'am. And you also raised a very important practical point, how we are going to implement it. Who is going to implement that? What would be the challenges? So absolutely, I believe that all like school management, teachers, parents, community, all need to work in collaboration. And you are absolutely right when you say that, teachers are, but this NEP, a lot of senior educators have also shared that this NEP is proposing like Parak, like standardized tests for teachers. It is for the first time, it is giving a formal platform to identify, recognize, and I would say honor good teachers. So that would create competition. I may be teaching a same subject for last 10 years, but I may change my methods. I may bring some more innovations. I may bring today's examples. For example, if I teach a student, so Ram or Sita or Gita, these are the name in the example that which we used to use, 10, 15 years back. But today's examples can be used today's names. That is very small micro level kind of innovation. So teachers need to be motivated enough to find or update themselves with those kind of things. So teachers and I agree with you that everyone has to work. But I also have a perspective that teacher, without even getting all the support from management, school principal, or other teachers, they have a lot of things in their hands. If they are motivated enough, they can bring wonders. And we all in our life have those teachers who work under the same scenario, under the same environment, and they created they actually changed the entire I would say outlet for all of us. So teacher is the ultimate executor who's going to be for this policy. We need to empower, which Srivastava sir said, which Sunita ma'am, and which Rajkumar sir said, like we need to empower teachers. And this NEP for the first time is giving us a way how we are going to empower those teachers, how we are going to find good teachers, train them, motivate them. So big thanks to Sunita ma'am for sharing these important points. I would be coming back to you with questions. Thank you. Now I would invite Puneet sir. Puneet sir, it's sometimes very good when you are at the last speaker. You get a lot of insights from the senior people. And,
yeah. Now I am just thinking on which particular point I should start, and I have a lot of points to discuss.
Yes,
and,
absolutely. It goes both ways. It has advantage. It has disadvantage.
yes. So once again, good afternoon, and I hope it's good evening. I will start my thought and my topic. Few days back, I was just listening to BBC interview of the founder of Dubai. It's Sheikh Rashid. He said, my father was on a camel. I'm in Mercedes. My son is in Land Rover. My grandson might be in some costly and more costlier vehicle. But I know my great sons will be again on camels. So he replied that tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times, and easy times create weak men, and weak men create tough times. So that means the cycle completes at its own. And why I'm talking like this? So he replied we need to create or raise barriers, not parasites. I think today's education, what I felt and you all are feeling the same as Srivastava sir said, that we talk about patriotism, we talk for love for nature, but we are not educating them how they should love. As ma'am rightly said, in most of the schools I have seen, they do not even go for national anthem everyday basis. So they don't know how to stand straight during national anthem. That means patriotism we are teaching through books, but what I feel it should be in their blood. And how it has to be inherited to their blood, that comes from the family, where their first teacher, their first parents, they should start teaching patriotism, because we are living in a country where we teach and we talk about rights, we don't talk about our duties. So I think this national education policy, although I don't know up to what extent they are going to serve, but they have given a proper weightage for this national value, patriotism, and love for country, love for nature. As this is a document. How it is going to be introduced, how it is going to be implemented, we have to see. If we succeed to meet this ambitious document, definitely it will be a great achievement for the entire country. As this document, as you know, every government has its own plans, own vision. This document, I feel, is perfect document. Next part is its execution. You know, this document talks about skill and knowledge through experiential learning, industrial collaboration, vocational courses, which has to be integrated with all subjects. But you know, as I can see, few days back, I was interviewing an engineer. We were searching for someone, and because we are trying to have, what I say, it's a kind of tinkering lab, which is a project of Government of India. But I want to start with my own workshop here. I want my students to know about the various equipments, household equipments, that they should know how to use it. Because I was interviewing that electrical engineering, he was unable to calculate the monthly bill if he know that for how much an AC works in a house. So see, that means we have engineers, but they are not competent. They do not have that skills. Parallelly, as if I have to talk modern education, as ma'am rightly mentioned, that we learned so many things during our schools or during our schooling, but we are not able to apply that knowledge. If I have to talk about what we are teaching up in 10th physics, 9th physics, the child of 10th standards, I can bet the child of 10th standard is unable to put the fuse and household electrical supply. This is completely missing. They talk about motor, but they do not know the functioning. They have, some of them even not have seen the motors at their homes. Next, this policy talk about the flexibility of your subject selection. If I'm not wrong, it talks about that you can opt the subject of your own interest, and you can go for the subject you are passionate about. For example, a child can go for physics and parallelly he can go for music and history, whatever it is. But this document do not talk about and speak clearly about the higher educational difficulties. If a child is entering in BTech or engineering, I think Srivastava sir can explain it better, that if a child is entering in engineering wing and he is coming from physics, but he is not good at maths, how he is going to cope up with higher education difficulties and what will be the possibilities? Isn't it complete mismatch that the child who is not having basic idea of mathematics but going for engineering? I feel this is not complete. Something has to be introduced and something has to be immediately checked into. Next, yes, today's education, if we talk about, we are getting people and candidates with a lot of degrees, but they are not having employable skills. So this policy talk about